بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, my dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, in today's episode we will speak about this great poem written by Imam Shafi rahimahullah. I really love the theme of this poem and I would love to share it with you brothers and sisters. He begins by saying ما في المقام لذي عقل وذي أدب من راحة فدع الأوطان واغتربي سافر تجد عوضا عمن تفارقه وانصب فإن لذيذ العيش في النصب إني رأيت وقوف الماء يفسده إني رأيت وقوف الماء يفسده إن ساح طاب وإن لم يجر لم يطب والأسد لولا فراق الأرض ما افترست والسهم لولا فراق القوس لم يصب والشمس لو وقفت في فلكها دائمة لملها الناس من عجم ومن عرب والتبر كالترب ملقا في أماكنه والعود في أرضه نوع من الحطب فإن تغرب هذا عز مطلبه وإن تغرب ذاك عز كالذهب.
إذا ما قال لي ربي أما استحييت تعصيني وتخفي الذنب عن خلقي وبالعصيان تأتيني فكيف أجيب يا ويحي ومن ذا سوف يحميني أسلي النفس بالآمال من حين إلى حين.
Imam Shafi rahimahullah in this poem he speaks about the natural state of a human being. That all human beings love to progress, move forward. We're not content in the same situation that we're in. I remember I had a friend, he used to work at GM, and he had a really good position there. He's a graduate from Oxford, and he told me that he's moving to Chicago. So I said, brother, you have such a good position over here, why are you moving to Chicago for? And he says that there's no potential for growth here. Like I can't, the position I'm in, that there's no potential for progress in my company. So I'm moving to Chicago to another company where there's more potential for growth. So this is how human beings are. Most of us as youngsters, we heard our parents, our ammus, uncles speak about how when they first came to this country, you know, how they were living in studio apartments, taking public transportation, working at 7-Eleven and also going to school. And then you see how they climbed that ladder. That at that point there were 3 people sharing the same studio apartment. Now slowly they moved out, got their own apartment, and they moved forward, they got their own house, got a few cars. And now if you look at it, where they are now compared to where they were as far as physical things are concerned, they have progressed. Youngsters, for example, an example for youngsters is, you know, if someone loves iPhones or phones, the system of America is situated and fit for this crave of a human being, like leasing cars, financing cars. And even now they have it in iPhones. They have this upgrade plan that every single year you just come and you get a new phone. Like, we don't want to have the same thing for too long. We start cringing, like, oh, I had this, you still have that phone? Like we start asking ourselves those questions, like, oh, got the brand new phone, even though there's nothing wrong with our phone. So this is the natural state of a human being. And there's really nothing, in Sharia, there's not much said about this in a negative way. No problem. We should try to progress. No, a university student shouldn't be like, yeah, I'm okay with 2.0 GPA. No, we should try to get 4.0 GPA. Every semester should be better than last semester. And this is what Sharia also encourages. Get the best job, get the best residency, go to the best school. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem comes when our progression is limited to things of our dunya. And as far as the things of our deen are concerned, we're at a complete stall. There's no more progression there. That's where the problem comes. Because in deen, if you're not progressing, you're regressing. You're never in one place. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah hits this tone in this poem. He says, ما في المقام لذي عقل وذي أدب من راحة فدع الأوطان واغتربي. You should never be comfortable in the state of iman that you're in your salah, in the way you're reciting Quran, in your dua, in the amal of deen, in the acts of deen. You should never be content that I'm perfectly fine, I'm good. No. فَدِعِ الْأَوْطَانَ وَاخْتَرِبِي. This metaphor is about leaving your place, leaving your city, move, وَاخْتَرِبِي, become a stranger somewhere. But the commentators of this poem say that this is not talking about the physical journey of a human being, rather it's talking about the spiritual journey of a human being, that he should progress. And he should always look to get better at that. And then he says, سافر تجد عوضا عمن تفارقه إن لذيذ العيش في النصب. He said the true flavor and the true satisfaction is in the fact that where you see progress in your deen. You see yourself, like, you know how a person feels like, last year I was making 50, this year I'm making 60K, and he feels good, like, yeah man, I got better this year, my business got better. Imagine that feeling in salah. Imagine that feeling like 2 years ago I didn't know what Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen meant. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, I didn't know what it meant. But I studied Arabic for a few years, and now when I recite the Quran, I know what it means. That's an unbelievable feeling. It's an unbelievable feeling. And that can be replicated in many acts of deen. 2 years ago I didn't know how to make dua. And now I know how to ask Allah. You know, we don't even know how to ask Allah. So now we learned how to ask Allah. It's an amazing feeling. So inna ladid al-aish, the true flavor and happiness and enjoyment of life is in this journey of progress. And then he gives a few examples in his poem. The first example he gives, he says, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ وُقُوفَ الْمَاءِ يُفْسِدُهُ إِنْ سَاحَ طَابْ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَجْرِ لَمْ يَطِبِ. In this Shuarauna series about Shafi'i, wallahi, I want to speak in a way where the normal audience who don't understand Arabic can also benefit. Many students of knowledge who are into Imam Shafi'i's poetry, they can also benefit in a scholarly level. And many scholars, ulama, they can also watch and benefit. So what does these lines mean? I want to try to break it down in a detail, but not to be so redundant and so scholarly that a general person cannot understand what I'm trying to say. So like I benefited so much from these poems, that's why I want to relate this with you people. He says, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ وُقُوفَ الْمَاءِ يُفْسِدُهُ. He says, I see that this fresh rainwater that comes from the skies, if it sits still, it gets contaminated. If it sits still, it stagnates. And if it moves and it flows, it's pure and it's a means of purification. And سَاحَ طَابْ وَإِن لَمْ يَجْرِ لَمْ يَطِبِ. So if this water this rainwater, which is the most pure form of water, and it's tahir and mutahir, it's pure and it's a means of purification. In Michigan we have a bunch of potholes. So imagine this water comes. This water was meant for purification. It was pure. Now it sat still in this pothole for a few hours, for a day or two. Now this water becomes contaminated. It becomes dirty. This water, if it touches your clothes, you want to wash your clothes. But if this water flows, it becomes springs. You drink that water. You do wudu with that water. Similarly is the state of a human being. When Allah created this human being, it had the nature, the power, the strength of being pure and being a means of purification for others. One of the maqasid, one of the purposes of Nabuwah was yuzakkihim, to purify others. And since we are the last ummah, we also have this characteristic in our inheritance, that Allah has made us people. We're like not like the sun or like a light bulb. Allah gives example of Siraj and Munir to the Prophet ﷺ. We are like these candles, right? That a candle has the ability of lighting up the room or the place that it's around, and a candle has the characteristic of lighting up 50 more candles, 100 more candles, and each candle has a characteristic of lighting another 1,000 candles. So this process continues. The human being has so much capacity and talent that it was meant to be pure and meant to purify others. A teacher sitting down, Imam Shafi, and at his hands Ahmad bin Hanbal is being generated. Imam Malik is sitting at his hands, Imam Shafi is being generated. And it continues, this flow continues. But the moment we stop progressing and worrying about our progress, we become like that filthy water. And then you see oppression in the world. Then you see inhumane acts in the world. Then you start scratching your head and asking yourself, how could a human being actually do this? That's what you start asking. There's so many examples of that. That's what happens when we stop moving forward and we stop progressing. And then he gives another example of that. He says, وَالْأَسْتُ لَوْلَا فِرَاقُ الْأَرْضِ مَفْتَرَسَتْ. If the lion didn't move from its place, it would never be able to hunt. If a lion was just a picture on the wall, no one would be afraid of the lion. But the fact that it moves and it can roar, you get scared of it and it can start hunting. وَالسَّهْمُ لَوْلَا فِرَاقُ الْقَوْسِ لَمْ يُصِبِ. If the arrow didn't leave its bow, it could never reach its target. But since the moment the arrow leaves its bow, then there's a potential of reaching the target for the arrow. So like this, he gives many examples. This is فَإِن تَغَرَّبَ هَذَا عَزَّ مَطْلُبُهُ. If this doesn't stay stationary, if the lion doesn't stay stationary, if the arrow doesn't stay stationary, if the gold dust doesn't stay stationary, if the water doesn't stay stationary, if these objects, and similarly, Furthermore, if the human being in the matters of his deen doesn't stay stationary and doesn't become content, then azza matlubuhu, he becomes sought out. People start looking for him. Sheikh, could you come give a talk at my masjid for this? Could you come to my university? People wait for his articles to come online. They want to read it. People wait for that sheikh to come to their community. They want to see him. They become sought out because they're now this quality of progress Allah has put in them, and now they're always looking to achieve more. وَإِن تَغَرَّبَ ذَاكَ عَزَّ كَالذَّهَبِ, and he says if one travels in this journey of progression, he's honored like gold, like gold. And you're honored in your life, and you're honored when you die. Like all the mashayikh before us, the people like Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, when they passed away, they were honored like gold. 800,000 people to 1 million people there for their janazas. That's what happens when this man is not content with the knowledge they have, with the ilm that they have, with the salat that they have. They're not ever content with that. So the Prophet says in hadith, a beautiful hadith, and I'll end by this. He says, khaslatan, these two qualities, man kanata fihi, anyone who inculcates these two qualities, katabahu Allahu shakir wa sabir, Allah will write their name in the books of those who are patient and are grateful. These are the two great qualities, to have sabr and to have shukr. Sabirin and shakirin. So what is the reward of a sabir? إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. A person who has patience, there is no counting the reward Allah gives. He gets the reward without any account. بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. That's how much reward a person who has patience. And then the reward of shukr, we know, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. The greatest reward of shukr and the benefit of shukr is Allah multiplies the ni'mah He's given us. So imagine what two qualities, O Prophet of Allah, that if I inculcate, I will be among those who are sabirin and shakirin. The Prophet says, beautiful, he says, مَنْ نَظَرَ فِي دِينِهِ إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَهُ فَاقْتَدَى بِهِ وَنَظَرَ فِي دُنْيَاهُ إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ دُونَهُ فَحَمِدَ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فَضَّلَهُ بِهِ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ شَاكِرًا وَصَابِرًا وَمَنْ نَظَرَ فِي دِينِهِ إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ دُونَهُ وَنَظَرَ فِي دُنْيَاهُ إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَهُ فَأَسِفَ عَلَى مَا فَاتَهُ مِنْهُ لَمْ يَكْتُبُ اللَّهُ شَاكِرًا وَلَا صَابِرًا. He says, in the matters of deen, look at those who are better than you. Look at those who are more righteous than you. Look at those who pray more than you. Look at them and try to emulate them. Try to become like them. This is, right now it's the opposite, right? The second part of the hadith, that in the matters of deen, we're always looking at people who are doing less than us, and we become content that at least I'm doing this much. I'm volunteering for this organization, I did this, and we become content. Contentment is poison when it comes to deen and the amal of deen. Rather, we should always look at people for as inspiration. Look at that person. You know, one of our sheikhs in Hajj, he mentioned beautifully, he says, you know, when you're getting tired doing dua in Arafah, look at that person. There will be a few people in Arafah that are doing more than you, that are crying the whole time. Just look at them and get inspired. See them from the corner of your eye. There are people like that in your masjid, in your communities. If you start looking for them, you'll find them. And if I, for example, say that, no, you know, I can't really find someone who's doing more than me, that's a sign of arrogance. There's always going to be someone who's doing better than you in deen. Umar bin Abdul rahimahullah, for example, he's the first mujaddid. You know, he was one of the greatest people to ever walk on the face of the earth. Rahimahullah. I mean, how could there be someone equal to him at his time? But even him, he sought out someone who was more, that he thought that was better than him. And he found a man by the name of Mujahid, who was the student of Ibn Abbas. He's a mufassir, anhu, Ibn Abbas, Mujahid rahimahullah. And he used to always marvel at the way he used to do ibadah and make dua to Allah. One day he said to Mujahid, he says, كيف أقوم أمام ربي يوم القيامة وأنت قائم أمامه. He said, oh Mujahid, how can I present my ibadah in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment when you will be presenting yours? Like, you know, when a person is, you know, the people that are off the bench and the starters are playing and the all-stars are coming, and if the all-stars don't come, they don't even tie, they tie their shoes like, oh yeah, I'm going to play. But if the all-stars walk into the gym, they're like, forget it, I'm not even tying my laces today because there's no point. I'm not going to be playing today. It's like, how can I tie my laces on the Day of Judgment when you'll be presenting your amal to Allah? How is it possible that I won't be able to present my amal compared to your amal? That's what he was saying metaphorically. So even he saw someone better than him. So the first thing we should do is look at someone who's better than us in deen and try to become like him, and not the opposite, that, oh, at least this word in Urdu is kam as kam and the word in English is at least. This is poison. At least I'm doing this. At least I remember I went to visit a Muslim brother in our community, and he never used to come for Jum'ah. So Allah gave him hidayah. So I used to go visit him all the time. I used to put gas from his gas station. So one day I met him. I said, come on, Habibi, like, let's I gave him some da'wah. I said, we have Jum'ah at 2 o'clock. You know what he said to me? He said, at least I don't sell alcohol in my gas station. That Muslim brother down the road, he doesn't pray Jummah and he sells alcohol. So go meet him. So this quality of at least. Alhamdulillah, you're doing that, but don't be content with that, right? So the Prophet said, look at those who have more than us in deen and try to become like them. And look at those who have less than you in dunya and thank Allah for the ni'mah and the qualities that Allah has given you and the bounties that Allah has given you. Thank Allah for that by looking at those who have less than you. Don't do the opposite. Look at the ones in deen that are less than you and look at the ones in dunya that are more than you, and you wish that you had that. The Prophet used to make dua every single day. Allahumma ja'al khayra ayyami yawma alqaka fihi. That make me better every single day of my life. Every single day of my life till the last day of my life is the best day of my life. And we should try to do that as well. Every single day should be better than yesterday. Every week should be better than the week before. And take our account. حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Look at ourselves and say, the Prophet Umar ibn Khattab used to say, take account of yourself before Allah takes your account. Look at our week and say, is this week better than my last week? Is today better than yesterday? If yesterday I read 1 page of the Quran, maybe today I should read 1.5 pages. If yesterday I sat with my mother for 10 minutes, I should sit 15 minutes today. Yesterday I made dua for 2 minutes, I should make dua for 3 minutes today. Like this should be a small progress. And just that, like that, if we have that in our mind to do that, then inshallah, like the scholars before us, like the elders before us, how they used to make dua and yearn that the last moment of their life when they're leaving this world is the best moment of their life. Inshallah, Allah will make it easy for us and give us tawfiq that the last moment of our life will be the best moment of our life. Allah make it easy for us to follow what was said, progress every single day of our lives, continue to get better in our amal of deen, the way we're trying to get better in the matters of our dunya. Jazakallahu khairah wa akhu da'wana alhamdulillah alameen.